current crisis has acted as a catalyst in promoting the neoliberal project across Europe. Of course, Greece is in the front line of this restructuring exercise that entails a lot of pain and widespread inequality among working people. The situation in Greece has been described very often by mass media as catastrophic. There are a lot of images of sandy towns, people looking for food in the garbage bins and so on. But I think the big issue here is not just to discuss the crisis in purely philanthropic terms, but to understand that what is happening now is a typical example of class-based politics. Because the cost of the crisis has not been shared in an equal and symmetrical way across people in the society. National elites are still benefiting from all this pain caused to people, including with measures including wage cuts, dramatic welfare state retrenchment, and the humanitarian crisis that, according to Red Cross, Oxfam and many other organizations, is so big that Europe has never been in that situation in the last 6 decades. Now, one big issue is what caused this crisis. And of course, there are a lot of neoliberal bogus narratives that Greece is to blame for the whole mess created in 2010, and which is of course influenced by what happened with the Lehman Brothers case in 2008. So about Greece, we had two main aspects. The first aspect is that Greeks are to blame for the whole catastrophe. And this is because Greeks do not like to pay their taxes, they are lazy, and so on. Of course, all those arguments are not sustainable in terms of academic knowledge. As we all know, Greeks used to work more hours than everyone in Europe. Greeks used to have among the lowest salaries in Europe. Welfare state in Greece is not generous at all, especially in comparison to Northern Europe. And we can, of course, talk about the Greek labor market that used to be flexible even before the dramatic reforms that took place under the Troika premise and all those things. The big issue here is that workers' rights, welfare state is considered as an obstacle to economic growth. So for Troika and all the neoliberal jokers across the world, the solution is to impose harsh austerity to people. But this austerity, as far as we have seen in the last 5 years in Europe, the only thing that has managed to do is to make people desperate, is to create a whole sense of insecurity and anxiety, is in a sense the creation of the precariat. And this situation is, let's say, brother in arms with an increasing inequality. And when I'm talking about inequality, I'm talking about a more expansive definition of inequality. Inequality is not just the difference in material terms between the rich and the poor. Inequality has also to do with issues of upward social mobility. Inequality has to do also with issues of voice, with the access of all people to collective organizations and political institutions. And what we have seen so far is that working people are suffering more and more. Economic growth has not recovered. Even some signs of recovery now are not true, because we're talking about deflation, because of course we're talking about higher rates of private debt, household debts, especially in Northern Europe, with a typical example of Netherlands. And of course this is a situation that provides a prime opportunity for national elites to attack on labor rights and welfare state. And of course, Greece is in the epicenter of this global exercise of restructuring and welfare state retrenchment. Let me please give you an example to explain what I really mean. Every day in Europe, more than 1,000 people become unemployed, and they join the ranks of a massive unemployed army, which is more than 10 million across Europe. At the same time, we have more and more people joining the labor market with extremely precarious working arrangements. Younger generations are suffering from the privatization of education, and working people are still suffering from dramatic cuts in welfare social services and especially healthcare services. So this situation can be, Greece is a typical case where what I'm talking about now is clearly observed. You do not need just to cross working class suburbs across Athens. You can just stick to the fingers. And what we did in trying to understand the whole situation was to map the scene in Greece under the austerity. And the message is clear. Austerity does not work for economic growth. Austerity does not work for social cohesion. Austerity is a deeply undemocratic way of resolving the debt crisis. And for this reason, the urgent task of European left is to create a popular front against austerity. We believe, especially in Greece, that we have a big chance to change things, because Europe is at the crossroads between a full deregulation, a full abandonment of the social Europe as we used to know it, and at the same time there is some hope to change things, trying to implement step-by-step measures that will restore democracy and bring about justice for everybody.